A long time ago, beyond a shining castle and peaceful kingdom, a kind, poor couple lived in a small cottage near the garden of a powerful sorceress. For many years they prayed for a child, holding hope even when life stayed hard. One day the mother suddenly became very sick and weak, lying pale in bed while her husband cared for her with worry. As her strength faded, she spoke only of one desperate craving, an enchanted plant called Rapunzel. The rare plant she needed grew only in the hidden garden of Dame Gothel, a feared sorceress known for her dark magic and control. The garden glowed with unnatural life, protected like a secret treasure. To save his wife, the father waited until the middle of the night and quietly climbed into the sorceress's garden. With shaking hands, he picked a few leaves, but the air suddenly turned cold, as if the darkness itself had noticed him. A shadow rose behind him. Dame Gothel. Her dark cloak and cold eyes froze him in place, and a faint dark glow gathered around her hands as she demanded to know why he was stealing from her garden. Gothel agreed to give him the plant, but her price was cruel. In exchange, she would take his future child. With his wife's life slipping away, the father accepted the deal, his face filled with guilt and desperation. The mother ate the Rapunzel plant and slowly recovered, color returning to her face. A few days later, the couple welcomed a beautiful baby girl, and for a brief moment, their home felt full of light again. Their happiness did not last. Dame Gothel arrived without mercy, her cloak sweeping like a shadow across the doorway, and she took the baby from the parents' arms. She named the child Rapunzel. Rapunzel grew up inside the tower, watching the world from her window but never touching it. As she became older, her hair grew unbelievably long, golden, thick, and shimmering with magic. Gothel carried Rapunzel far away to a lonely tower rising above the trees, so tall it scraped the clouds. There were no doors, only a window near the top, ensuring the child would belong to Gothel alone. Day after day, Rapunzel leaned out of the window, feeling the wind and imagining what it would be like to run through the trees. The tower was safe, but it was also a cage. Whenever Dame Gothel returned, she stood below the tower and called Rapunzel by name. Rapunzel would lower her shining golden hair like a rope, and Gothel would climb up, claiming it like she owned Rapunzel's very life. Rapunzel filled her days with singing, her voice echoing into the sky beyond the tower. Her song carried her dreams, dreams of freedom, friendship, and a world she had never seen. One day, a prince rode through the forest and heard Rapunzel's beautiful voice drifting through the trees. He slowed, amazed, as if the song had reached into his heart and pulled him forward. Following the sound, the prince pushed through branches until the tall, lonely tower appeared before him. He stared upward, wondering how any voice could come from a place so impossible. Remembering the strange words he had heard echoing before, the prince called out to Rapunzel. To his shock, her long golden hair fell down like a shining ladder, and he carefully climbed upward, step by step, until he reached the window. At first Rapunzel was frightened by the stranger, but the prince's gentle manner calmed her. As they talked, fear turned into wonder, and for the first time Rapunzel felt like someone truly saw her. Before long, Dame Gothel returned to the tower and called up in her familiar controlling way. Rapunzel's face tensed. She knew Gothel must never discover the prince. Gothel discovered the truth, and her anger exploded. With ruthless force, she cut Rapunzel's golden hair, destroying the magic she had relied on, then banished Rapunzel far away to a barren desert, leaving her alone. Rapunzel wandered through endless sand beneath a blazing sky, crying out in loneliness. The world was finally outside, but it was not the freedom she had dreamed of. When the prince returned to the tower, Gothel used the cut hair to deceive him. In the struggle, the prince fell from the tower into thorny bushes below, and when he rose, he could no longer see. Years passed as the blind prince wandered, guided by a cane and hope, refusing to give up. His clothes grew dusty, but his determination stayed strong as he searched for the voice he could never forget. One day, the prince heard a voice carried by the desert wind, soft, familiar, impossible. He stopped, his heart racing, and turned toward it as if the sound itself was pulling him home. Rapunzel ran to him, overwhelmed with emotion, and as she held his face, her tears fell onto his eyes. In that moment, the magic returned in the purest form. His sight slowly came back, and the world became bright again. The prince opened his eyes and saw Rapunzel clearly. Real, alive, and safe. The joy on his face turned the desert moment into something beautiful, like a miracle made of love. Together, Rapunzel and the prince began the journey back toward the kingdom, walking side by side with renewed hope. The road ahead was long, but they were no longer alone. Inside the palace, people gathered in amazement as the prince returned. Rapunzel stood close beside him, nervous but brave, while warmth and celebration filled the grand halls. Rapunzel and the prince were married and lived happily ever after, proving that true love can overcome even the darkest obstacles. And in the end, the light that mattered most was the one they found in each other. In time, Rapunzel and the prince built a life together, and their home filled with laughter and love. The pain of the past became a story they survived, not a cage that held them. If you guys liked the videos, then like and subscribe. And tell me in comments which fairy tale do you want next.